The Graceful Single. One of the most rarest sights on the railways were engines with two large driving wheels. They were known as single-wheelers to the railwaymen, and very few were around anywhere in the early days after the Second World War. One of these engines worked on Sodor, living in a shed at the other end of the line. She was called Chelsea to her shedmates, and was painted black with red and white stripes, the colours of our old company, the London and North Western Railway. But sometimes she felt uncomfortable living in the shed, for she, and some of the others, had to put up with a boisterous and rude engine called Fredrick. Fredrick was primarily a passenger engine, who often took trains to the other railway and spent his time there. But when he was staying at Chelsea's shed, he boasted about how important an engine like him was. The other engines found it annoying and grumbled dreadfully. One morning, Chelsea was preparing to take a slow train to the other end of the line when Fredrick pulled up alongside. "Important engine coming through," he boasted. He then noticed Chelsea and sniffed. "Well, no wonder this yard's in a mess. Don't you think you belong in a museum or somewhere, rather than this dirty yard?" Chelsea was offended. "Well, my friends don't think that," she retorted. "I show them respect, and they show it in return, and I may be an engine from an ancient type, but at least I'm still really useful." Fredrick laughed. "Utter rubbish," he snorted. "An out-of-date engine like you don't really belong here. The director should get engines like me. Modern, clean, and certainly powerful." And he puffed away, leaving Chelsea hurt. That afternoon, when she returned from her trip, she was feeling miserable. She was taking on water when Sally, one of her closest friends, came up to her on her way to the shed. "Hello, Chelsea," she said. "Why are you looking so down?" Chelsea told her what Fredrick had said. Sally was angry. "The nerve of him!" she fumed. "That engine is asking for trouble, and trust me, he is really going to get it." But unknown to them, he would get it sooner than they expect. The following morning, Chelsea was at the coaling stage when the yard manager came to talk to her driver. When he finished, the driver climbed back into her cab and eased the regulator. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Fredrick's failed at the junction with a fractured steam pipe," he explained. "The director wants us to take his train." Chelsea was pleased. Fairly soon she arrived at the junction to see Fredrick, red-faced and fuming. His passengers were surrounding his cab, ranting angrily, but stopped when Chelsea approached. Fredrick was not pleased. "So, the out-of-date engine's here," he fumed, and looked away in disgust. Chelsea ignored him. She coupled up to him and pulled him away from his train and pushed him into a siding out of the way. She then uncoupled from him and ran on to his train. All the passengers got in again, and the guard blew his whistle. Chelsea started off. Chelsea ran brilliantly, and the passengers were most impressed, and they reached the terminus quite soon. Gordon was there, preparing to leave for the express, and was quite surprised to see Chelsea pulling the train. "Well," he said in amazement, "a single around here. It is such an honor indeed." Chelsea felt flattered. The factorette was pleased with her. "You've done amazingly well," he told her. "I'm pleased with you. And as for Fredrick," he paused darkly, "I'll deal with him later." And he strolled thoughtfully away. Chelsea spent the night at the sheds at Tidmouth, and returned to her own yard to a warm welcome from her friends. Fredrick was returned to the other railway to be withdrawn from service. Due to a brilliant performance, Chelsea was allowed to bring down expresses to the other end of the line, and was more than welcome to sleep in the sheds there. But then, after many years, Chelsea was eventually withdrawn, and disappeared from the world. But other engines still think she's still around somewhere. But could this rumor be true? I'm afraid for you and I, that's another story.